In the dimly lit tent of Agamemnon, tension fills the air as the leaders of the Greek forces gather around a large wooden table, their faces illuminated by flickering torches. Each warrior carries the weight of their fallen comrades on their shoulders. The fragile state of their alliance. The leaders recount their losses in the war against Troy, highlighting the bravery of their fallen friends. Diomedes speaks passionately about their fallen comrades, his voice breaking as he remembers the names of the brave who died fighting for honor. Agamemnon, imposing and authoritative, attempts to rally the leaders. He rises to speak, reminding them of their shared purpose, to reclaim Helen and restore their honor, but his voice lacks the fervor needed to ignite the spirits of his men. Odysseus, with a calculating mind, begins to share his thoughts on a potential strategy. He proposes they need to think beyond brute force and instead utilize cunning. His suggestion is met with mixed reactions, as some leaders favor a direct assault. In the midst of the discussion, Agamemnon dismisses Odysseus's suggestion, causing tension to rise. Achilles interjects, supporting Odysseus, sparking a heated debate between the two proud warriors. Stakes of their pride. As the debate continues, the mood shifts from defiance to desperation as the realization of their prolonged stalemate sets in. They know that time is running out, and their hopes hinge on decisive action. Suddenly, the tension in the tent is broken by the entrance of a revered seer, Calchas. His presence commands attention, and the room grows hushed as all eyes turn to the enigmatic figure cloaked in tattered robes, his eyes deep with knowledge of the gods. Calchas begins to speak, revealing ominous prophecies about their campaign against Troy. His voice trembles slightly as he recounts the visions sent by Apollo, warning of impending doom if they do not heed the will of the gods. He explains that the omens have shown a fierce storm approaching, symbolizing the wrath of the gods against their arrogance. The warriors' eyes widen as they absorb the implications, realizing the stakes are far greater than their personal conflicts. Resonates with some leaders but stirs unease in others. Calchas responds, urging humility before the gods. He recounts the fate of heroes who defied divine warnings, their tragic ends serving as cautionary tales. The room grows heavy with a sense of foreboding as he invokes the memory of fallen warriors. Odysseus steps in, trying to mediate once again. He suggests that the omens could also signify a need for change in their approach, advocating for a strategic plan that respects the will of the gods while also showcasing their strength. The leaders begin to debate the merits of Odysseus's proposal, torn between their desire for immediate action and the need to heed the seer's warnings. The atmosphere is charged with uncertainty as the weight of their decisions presses down on them. Finally, the debate reaches a fever pitch, and Agamemnon realizes that he must take a stand. He acknowledges Calchas' omens and decides they must consult further with the gods through sacrifices, hoping to gain clarity on their path forward. The leaders agree to prepare for the sacrifices, their resolve hardened. As they finalize their plans, the atmosphere shifts from uncertainty to a sense of unity, their common goal binding them together once more. The day of the sacrifice arrives, the camp buzzing with anxious energy. The leaders gather around the altar, preparing for a ritual that they hope will bring them divine favor. The air is thick with tension as they ready themselves to appease the gods. The priests begin the sacred chants, their voices rising in a melodic harmony, calling upon Apollo and other gods of the Greek pantheon to lend their favor. The warriors watch, their eyes heavy with doubt and hope. Every breath is held, as if the gods themselves are listening. Agamemnon steps forward, his voice resolute but trembling, as he offers the first sacrifice to the gods. A ram, bound and prepared, is placed upon the altar, its blood spilling. As the flames rise, the sight is both gruesome and sacred, a ritual that has been repeated throughout history. The sacrifice is made, and the flames crackle with intensity. As the smoke ascends, the leaders and warriors alike hold their breath, hoping for a sign. The gods' approval or wrath hangs in the balance, and the atmosphere is thick with uncertainty. As the last of the sacrifice burns, a flash of light appears in the sky, blinding for a moment. The warriors gasp in unison, their hearts racing. They look to Calchas for guidance, their faces a mixture of hope and fear, uncertain of the omen's meaning. Calchas steps forward, his expression unreadable. The seer's eyes scan the heavens, searching for the answer hidden within the stars. Finally, he speaks, his voice a soft murmur against the tense silence. The gods have spoken, but their message is unclear. With a cryptic tone, Calchas reveals that the gods have given a mixed omen. The flash of light signifies their attention, but the sacrifice was not sufficient to fully sway their judgment. The war must continue, but it will come at great cost. The gods have provided a path forward but have left the specifics to be determined by human actions. The omens do not guarantee victory, but they do suggest that the gods are not fully opposed to the Greek cause. It is now up to the warriors to earn their favor. Odysseus, ever pragmatic, speaks up. He suggests that the Greeks must act swiftly and decisively, leveraging their strengths and intelligence to tip the scales in their favor. He calls for renewed effort and cunning strategies. Achilles, however, is less convinced. He believes that fate is already sealed, and their efforts may be in vain. His skepticism brings a momentary silence, as others wonder if they are truly at the mercy of the gods or if their own will can overcome the obstacles ahead. Despite the division among them, the leaders agree that the war must continue. They prepare for the next phase of battle, knowing that divine favor, or the lack thereof, will play a significant role in shaping their fate. As the war drums sound in the distance, signaling the approach of the next phase of the conflict, a sense of dread and anticipation fills the air. The sacrifices have been made, and now, the Greeks must face their destiny, whether under the guiding hand of the gods or their own determination. The sun sets over the ancient city of Troy, casting long shadows over the walls. In the distance, the Greeks appear to retreat, leaving behind a massive wooden horse as an offering to the gods. The Trojans, bewildered and suspicious, gather around the horse, debating its true purpose. Inside the horse, a group of elite Greek warriors, including Odysseus and Menelaus, wait in silence, the air thick with anticipation. Their only hope is that the Trojans, in their arrogance and overconfidence, will let the horse through their gates. Back in Troy, the priest Laocoon steps forward, warning the Trojans that the horse is a trick, a symbol of Greek deception. His voice rises in desperation as he urges the Trojans to destroy it before it's too late. His warning is met with scorn from the elders and the people. Ignoring Laocoon's warning, the Trojans decide to bring the horse inside the city, believing that it is a gift to the gods, meant to ensure their victory. Their decision is guided not by reason but by the hope that the gods have finally smiled upon them. As the horse is brought into the city, the gods watch from above. Athena, with her divine wisdom, silently approves of the trick. She knows that the Greeks will have their revenge through this cunning plan, though it is not without a cost. That night, the Trojans celebrate, unaware of the Greek warriors hidden within the horse. Their festivities are filled with joy and drunken laughter as they believe their enemies have given up. Meanwhile, the Greeks, hidden and waiting, prepare for the signal to strike. Suddenly, a strange omen occurs. An eagle swoops down and tears apart a snake that had been lying near the gates. The Trojans interpret this as a sign from the gods that they have been blessed, reinforcing their belief that they are invincible. As the Trojans sleep, lulled into a false sense of security, the Greek warriors begin to emerge from the horse. Odysseus gives the signal, and the warriors silently descend upon the unsuspecting city, weapons drawn, their eyes glinting with determination. The city erupts into chaos as the Greeks strike. Screams of panic fill the air as the Trojans scramble to defend themselves. The gods, watching from above, are divided, some pleased with the fulfillment of their will, others saddened by the bloodshed. In the midst of the chaos, Achilles' son, Neoptolemus, fights with unparalleled fury. His rage is a reflection of his father's wrath, and the Trojans, who had once thought themselves invincible, now find themselves on the brink of destruction. Meanwhile, inside the palace, Queen Hecuba and King Priam fight to protect their family. Priam, aged and wise, faces his final moments, as he is confronted by the Greeks within the royal chambers. In a tragic turn, King Priam is slain before the altar of Zeus. His death marks the fall of Troy's royal lineage, and his last breath is a sign of the city's impending ruin. As the night unfolds, the Greeks slaughter the Trojans, their victory complete. The gods, observing from their celestial thrones, are quiet, as the consequences of their divine manipulation unfold in the mortal realm. Odysseus, standing over the ruins of Troy, reflects on the consequences of the war. The gods may have shaped their destinies, but it was the actions of men, driven by ambition, pride, and love, that ultimately led to Troy's fall. As dawn breaks over the smoking ruins of Troy, the sun's light reveals a city shattered beyond recognition. The once proud walls now lie in ruin, and the cries of the defeated fill the air. The Greeks, victorious but wary, begin to loot the city, their joy tainted by the bloodshed and destruction they have wrought. Among the survivors, the women of Troy are taken as captives, their fate sealed by the Greeks. Among them is Andromache, widow of Hector, who is taken by Neoptolemus, her heart torn by the loss of her husband and the destruction of her homeland. Hecuba, the queen, weeps for her fallen city. She is dragged away by the Greeks, her once proud stature now reduced to that of a captive. Her heart aches not only for her lost city but for the fate of her children, whom she knows will never see Troy again. As the women of Troy are taken as slaves, the gods continue to watch from above. While Athena smiles upon the Greeks, pleased with their cunning, Apollo's heart is heavy with grief. He mourns the fall of Troy and the death of his beloved city, even as his sister Artemis remains indifferent. Odysseus, standing at the edge of the city, reflects on the victory, his mind heavy with the weight of his actions. He knows that the fall of Troy was not just a victory for Greece, but a dark moment in the history of the gods' manipulations. His victory feels hollow, overshadowed by the suffering he has witnessed. The surviving Trojans, led by Aeneas, flee the city in search of a new homeland. The gods have not abandoned them, but their future is uncertain. Aeneas, guided by fate, leads his people out of Troy, determined to find a new city where they can rise from the ashes of their former home. As Aeneas and the surviving Trojans journey into the unknown, the gods continue to weave their fates. Venus, Aeneas' divine mother, watches over him from above, ensuring that he fulfills his destiny to establish a new Troy, though many trials still lie ahead. Back in Greece, the victors of Troy return to their homes. For many, their journey is long and fraught with peril. The gods continue to shape their fates, and the heroes of the war will soon discover that their struggles are far from over. Odysseus, who once led the Greeks to victory, now faces the wrath of the gods. His journey home is cursed, and he will spend years wandering the seas, separated from his family and his people. His tale will become one of hardship and survival, but it will also become a testament to the power of the gods and the cost of their favor. Meanwhile, back in Troy, the goddess Athena continues to watch over the fallen city. Though Troy is lost, she knows that the city's legacy will live on through the stories told by those who survived. The gods may have played their part, but it is the mortals who will ultimately shape the fate of the world. The Trojan War, with all its glory, betrayal, and divine influence, will be remembered for generations. The gods, their wills fulfilled, retreat into their celestial realms, leaving the mortals to pick up the pieces. The future of Troy, and Greece, is now in the hands of those who survived. And as the sun sets over the ruins of Troy, the echoes of the war continue to reverberate through the ages. The heroes, the gods, and the mortals are all forever intertwined in the tapestry of fate, their stories etched into the fabric of time. Odysseus, after the destruction of Troy, sails back to Ithaca, but his journey is cursed by Poseidon, the god of the seas. The winds howl against him, and monstrous waves rise from the depths of the ocean. Poseidon's anger is boundless, for Odysseus had blinded his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus, during the war. The crew of Odysseus, fearing the wrath of the gods, begins to lose hope. They plead with their leader, but Odysseus, ever proud, refuses to back down. His resolve grows stronger, even as the storm rages on, threatening to tear their ship apart. Odysseus's ship is finally destroyed, and he is cast ashore on the island of the Phaeacians. There, he is discovered by the Princess Nausicaa, who takes him to her father's court. It is here that Odysseus finds a brief moment of respite, though his trials are far from over. As Odysseus recounts his story to the Phaeacians, he speaks of the gods' interference in his life and the many trials he has faced. His tale is filled with sorrow and wonder, and it is clear that even the greatest of heroes cannot escape the will of the gods. Home to Ithaca, though the journey will still take many more years. Back in Ithaca, Odysseus's wife, Penelope, remains faithful, though she is surrounded by suitors who seek her hand in marriage, believing Odysseus dead. Her sorrow is deep, but she clings to the hope that her husband will return, guided by the gods who favor him. Athena, watching over Penelope, begins to work her magic. She inspires Penelope with a clever ruse, allowing her to delay the suitors by promising to choose one after she finishes. weaving a burial shroud for her father-in-law. Every night, Penelope secretly unravels the work she has done during the day, buying time until Odysseus can return. After many years, Odysseus finally returns to Ithaca, disguised as a beggar by Athena's magic. He is greeted with disbelief by those who once adored him, but his resolve is unshaken. He plans his return to power, knowing that the gods have guided him home. Odysseus, aided by his son Telemachus, orchestrates a daring plan to defeat the suitors and reclaim his kingdom. With the guidance of Athena, the gods once again intervene, ensuring that Odysseus will have the strength to defeat his enemies. In a bloody and violent confrontation, Odysseus slays the suitors one by one, his skill and strength unmatched. With each death, the gods' favor becomes more apparent, for even in his darkest hour, Odysseus is guided by their hands. With the suitors defeated, Odysseus is finally reunited with Penelope. She, too, has been tested by the gods, but her faith in her husband has never wavered. Together, they rebuild their life, their bond stronger than ever, blessed by Athena's protection. In the years that follow, Odysseus and Penelope live peacefully, their home restored and their legacy secure. The gods, though no longer directly involved in their lives, continue to watch over them, for their tale is one that will live on in legend. Though the Trojan War is long over, the gods continue to intervene in the lives of mortals. The fates of other heroes, such as Agamemnon, Achilles, and Menelaus, are shaped by divine will, and their stories become intertwined with the ongoing saga of the Greek gods. As the generations pass, the story of the Trojan War and its aftermath is told and retold by poets, bards, and historians. The gods, the heroes, and the mortals who lived through it become legends, their tales immortalized in song and story. And so, the gods rest once more, their influence on the mortal world remaining as strong as ever. The heroes of Troy are gone, but their stories live on, carried through the ages by those who remember the divine forces that shaped their fates.